you mocking pretender. I check your lyrics and I'm confident. You're far too long. You're fooling the children, filling the head with brainwash education.
Fooling the children, filling the head with brainwash education. It is June 8th, 2022. It is exactly 9 o'clock. We're on the inside, and tonight we're dealing with the issue of our children, our schools, our government, and bullying.
They reach right and they retreat, cause the children coming to take back the street. The power of the word in the conscious styling. The power of the word in the rap so styling. Rocking the roots of the vampire system. Talk it all, you're talk it all, you're bloody receiver. Talk it all, you're super master. Talk it all, you're free oppressor.
Share it up, share it up, share it up. Tell everybody Phillip is on.
Right down to the heart of the matter. Design of us and reality scatter. He promised to find next time. He promised to find next time. He promised, he promised, he promised, he promised, he promised to find next time. Next time. And who is there? The body wounded. Who is there? Body wounded. Who is there? The body wounded. Who is there? Body wounded. Talk your talk. The mocking pretender. Take the lyrics and I'm confident. You're
Far too long.
fooling the children.
Filling the head with brainwash education.
Who's there? And you retreat. The children coming. Power the wood. Conscious style. I say the power the wood. The rap so styling. Rocking the roots of the vampire system. Talk your talk. You're fucking pretender. Talk your talk. You're bloody deceiver. Talk your talk. You're serpent master. Talk your talk.
You're friggin' oppressor.
This is like chatter, on me wrong in my head, oh Lord, like me want me dead. Everybody talking, nobody listening, oh my God, what's really happening? What is the matter? This is like chatter, going right down to the heart of the matter. Everybody talking, nobody listening, everybody talking, nobody listening, nobody listening.
Revelations time. Revelation. Children who are not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. Let that sink in. Let that marinate. Think about what you just heard and contrast it to what's going on. Children who are not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. That's where we at. That's where we at. The village is broken. The community is no more. There is nothing embracing these children. So they're burning it down. And right now, they're fighting with each other. But if we don't fix this, If we don't fix this, I want you to hear something else. William Butler Yeats wrote, Turning and turning in the widening gyre. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood dim tide is loosed and everywhere. The ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand. The second coming. Hardly are those words out when a vast image out of Spiritus Mundi troubles my sight somewhere in sands of the desert. A shape with lion body and the head of a man, a gaze blank and pitiless as the sun, is moving in slow thighs, while all about it red shadows of the indignant desert birds. The darkness drops again, but now I know that 20 centuries of stony sleep were vexed so nightmare by a rocking cradle. And what rough beast, its hour come around at last, slouches towards Bethlehem to be born. Our Rome, our Israel, our nation state, our Camelot, our kingdom, Trinidad and Tobago is falling apart. Trinidad and Tobago is falling apart. That William Butler Yeats said, the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. We have strayed so far from managing this country. We have strayed so far from governance. The government are the biggest criminals in the country. There is no way to rein them in when they are appointing the reigners. Trinidad and Tobago is falling in on itself. People are going to start to eat each other. This country is falling apart at all levels. We have a new Attorney General. There is a serious allegation that he committed perjury. That is a crime in and of itself. But so is perversion of public justice. So is misbehavior in public office to start. And yet, there is not a word from the Commissioner of Police. There's not a word from the Director of Public Prosecutions. There's not a whisper from the Law Association. So where do the people turn? Where? Where do the people turn for leadership in a country where the Prime Minister just taxed a taxpayer base that is heavily in debt? He just taxed them to take his friends on a junket to California so they could play government for the rest of the world. How I wish someone would ask me to describe to the rest of the world this gathering of vagabonds under the red, white, and black. So I can tell them. Kid Rowley unleashed Kunta Kinte on Black Trinidad and jump on a plane. Let that occupy all your while I gone, me and my friends. Let me see what deals we could make while all you're fighting up down there with Kunta Kinte. And Roger Israel telling them a rose by any other name would still be as sweet in a country where you're nigger this and you're coolie that and you're Chinese this and you're Syrian that and you're, what is called white people? Syrian people, white people, and generally Chinese people don't take any epithets to heart. Why? Because they're focused on succeeding and they know that name calling has no value. It is only the very weak that you could call a name and get them to react. And that means that there's something inside them. Don't give me the bullshit. Don't give me the bullshit because I'm in a bullshit-free zone. I live in a bubble. It was 2,000 years of Jewish slavery. It was 400 years of African slavery. Between Jewish slavery and African slavery, the Irish were slaves. We live in a world where people have exploited people for as long as people have been alive. As long as there were 3 people in the world, 2 gang up on 1. So let's stop the bullshit a former coup survivor. That's his claim to fame. Wendell Eversley dragged a flag for his life because he was walking through the Red House. All it says is you're bad lucky, you know. He was walking through the Red House when on July 27, 1990. He calls himself a coup survivor. All the other people who was in the Red House and TTT are also coup survivors, but he is a coup survivor, no problem. But the outside there wrap up in a flag calling for the Equal Opportunity Tribunal, that political structure to investigate Kamala. To investigate what? Let's talk about that, because I asked you all the other night, what's in a name? While Wendell Eversley is calling for an investigation into Kamala telling Camille that her name is a slave master name, Keith Rowley agreed and put up Kunta Kinte getting beaten till he admitted he was Toby. And Rowley said, this is where we get it from. So what is Eversley asking the Equal Opportunity Tribunal to do? See if it's true? Day one, first minute, Kamala said this. Day one, second minute, Rowley agreed. Day one, third minute, let's get an expert. David Mohammed, you are the chief black expert in the country right now. Tell us, are black Africans in Trinidad and Tobago, as opposed to black Indians, are black Africans in Trinidad and Tobago named after slave masters? Well, generally yes, because there are no other people really rocking about that they knew. So the matter will take all of 3 minutes. So waste of time. But the jackass is triggering something called hate speech, which is bullshit. The only people that are guilty of hate speech in this country comes out of that parliament. What goes on in the parliament, I don't understand how it has not yet triggered violence in this country. And these two political has-beens from these two cults, these two tribal divisive cults, because the media talks to all new political parties about their base. So if it's not race as your base, and you're saying, and I have enough video footage of Azir and Hema and everybody saying, but all you know it is true, all you know is a fact, Africans vote PNM and Indians vote UNC, so they unleash PDP on the African community because Watson Duke can't go with Shaka, Zulu and Free Bread in Orapuch West. So you're seeing the stunts and you understand that my father called racism the last bastion of the intellectually bankrupt. And it's true. Because when you have nothing else to insult somebody on, you refer to their weight, their size, their height, their race, their assumed intelligence. So we put adjectives in front of the person as their description to diminish them in their own eyes. And what I love that all over Facebook, when they send the trolls that attack me, they're not quite sure how to attack me without attacking the benefactors and the people they support. So they're very cautious about that. And I like that. I like that they're confused. And I want them to know that I have been out here long time. And like people who are successful everywhere, the only people who could say something about me that I might consider, give some thought to, and possibly answer, have to at least be my equal or my better. So if I click on your name and your profile picture is you living a suffering life because of your support of failed political, racist, tribal, divisive ideology, and has made you settle for living among the used pampers and the empty plastic bottles and the rubbish, if that's what you've chosen to accept for your life, party on. But don't think from your piss pot you have any authority to have any opinion of who I am or what I am capable of. Let's get that straight. And I'm very, very clear. Clear to the point where no matter where they come from, no matter how strenuous they say it, no matter how tempting the desire to put them in their place, the sweetest retribution, the best response I have discovered for my own peace of mind, instant victory, is to flick them away like lizard shit. To make them so irrelevant that if you come and attack me personally, I will block you. And then you will have to do like the hairy back heifer in Bayshore, who have to make fake profile after fake profile, create fake email address after fake email address, to create fake Facebook accounts, to come and attack Phillip. And after take all that time, to make all that effort, to create, the latest one is Caitlin Joseph, I think. Caitlin. She's so disconnected from reality. She don't even know. She point people, black people face and Indian people name. She trying all kind of crap to hide in plain sight. But I just see her, I just smell her coming with her thick ankles. And I know that she just beat up behind that computer, punching in them keys. Let me get a new profile just to attack Phillip. I have an uncle who has 13 Facebook profiles just to attack me. And the lizard shit treatment, I estimated, it's taking about 5 minutes to fill out the form in whatever email address system you're using. It takes about 5 minutes, and then they have to confirm that it's real. So you have to get a confirmation email to a phone number, and if your phone number is already registered, you're children. You have all your children phone number tied up in Facebook now, and they can't use their own number because you use their phone to get confirmation email on your fake profile to come and attack me. Because you're so bored. Your husband down in the, where does he go where the boats park up? They interfere with the other girls and leave you alone. So you have no choice but to play provoking me. And by the time you do that and you get that email address confirmed, then you have to go to Facebook and create a new profile for Facebook. And that takes about 5 steps. That's the next 5 minutes again. And then they tell you add friends and they give you all the suggestions and you're hustling through all of that just to come wherever you see I am to attack me. And then you get lizard shit flick. And you're instantly blocked. And all of that effort was for nothing. Was for nothing. I'm not going to answer you. I'm not going to call your name. I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of talking about how I know where you're from, where you do, how you come to get where you have. I ain't talking about them things. Because I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission. It's either one of two things will happen. I'll get in the government and fix Trinidad and Tobago. And what that means is people who have taken advantage of the self-imposed failures of the country to enforce law and justice, those who have taken advantage of those loopholes will find it very difficult to continue the quality of life they enjoy under the criminal, tribal, divisive bullshit governance. They'll find it very, very difficult. Or we don't go into government at all. And then I move on. Because while I will leave you here to be King Kobo of the rapidly failing country, my effort stops at this moment here. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to take responsibility for every single thing that goes on in this country, the things we speak up for and the things we ignore, the things we make excuses for. The things that we make excuses for. Those are important notes to note, because those little children fighting to the death in that school, you see knives come out. Knives come out, and that means that we have no idea what's happening next. If that, see they expelled 2 children. The minister said the children have been expelled. Where is the principal of the school? Where's the head of security of that school? Where is that? Where's the Ministry of Social Development? Gatsby Dolly have spat these 2 youngsters out before they end up in the jail. The Ministry of Social Development is engaging with their families and their communities and their homes. Understand that. Understand this carefully. Nyan Gatsby Dolly can't just expel them and pretend the problem gone. You've just taken 2 children who have arrived at violence, bloodletting violence as a solution, and thrown them into the wild world, where the parents now who can school, so that they will burn down the village when they are adults. Adult criminals that you're wondering where they're coming from. Gone. You've just social development that are failing in their responsibility to manage the development of the communities and to make sense out of the nonsense that's growing up in the PNM diehard communities. I want to say this to Trinidad and Tobago also. I said it last night, I said it the night before. Fathers are getting away. Fathers cannot get away. Fathers, even if you're not going near your child, you have a responsibility. And if the mother not letting you see the child, then go to the court and get the court to remove your name as father. And then, if the mother not letting you see the child, if she stand up in the court and she say, Your Honor, he's a deadbeat, I don't want him to have a child, no problem. You know, mother, have the responsibility as mother and father. And that's a criminal and a financial liability. All of a sudden, these mothers who have been using their children as pawns to punish men will have to pat all the way down. Because a lot of what's going on in the family court is mothers pulling heartstrings of the judge and the system to punish fathers. What should be a shield in our justice system is a sword. And I've said this repeatedly, and this is what's going on. So, Mr. Man, you are father. Take responsibility for your child. When you come on Facebook and say, what about us fathers, who the mother not letting us see the child? Petition the court. Petition the court and say, I have no interaction with my child. The mother not letting me see the child. So what do? The court will put all in a sensible country and not Trinidad and Tobago. But I'm telling you, I got a call today from a well-placed friend in child protection. She tells me that this is the fastest we have moved on a case. This case with the grandmother and the 3-year-old, it's taking months. And she said it's the fastest we could move. And she's telling me about all the complications and the inefficiency in the system. Even cross-channel communication between the Children's Authority and the Child Protection Unit. Even that is a mad chasm of miscommunication. So children are left at risk. She said to me, I woke people up that night you called me, and those people woke other people up. So sometime between the next 48 hours, there will be a resolution, and that child will get examined. And it's one of two things. The grandmother will be charged for wasting police time, or those responsible for violating this innocent baby will be charged, prosecuted, and jailed. And that's what we want here, and that's what we want in every situation. Each and every one of those children fighting in those schools, fighting on the road, all of those children belong to parents. And if they're not parents, they should be wards of the state. How you can make them wards of the state? They're bullying and raping them in the homes. That should not be an option. But Keith Rowley is not a real prime minister. McDonald Jacob not sure what to do because a PNM appointee. He's not a real police commissioner. Because if he was a real police commissioner, he would have sent his police to all of the homes on the report and launched an investigation. Robert Sabga is defending what he is saying. He brought out a redacted document to show that it was fact. Judith Jones went and did her own investigation to find out. See people making suggestions, military detention and all kind of thing. We in Trinidad and Tobago, boot camp, shoot them in the head. We in Trinidad, we go from zero to a million without stopping the thing. I apologize. My phone set up, and this phone don't stop ringing. My phone set up for 2 interviews. with our education advisor and with our national security advisor. And we'll make those 2 calls, and then we'll be taking calls from people who have been abused. So if this is people who are calling me who have been bullied in school, stand by. I want to make 1 call first. I want you to hear this, because it's important that Trinidad and Tobago hear that there are people who are capable of running the country. If Keith Rowley was a real prime minister, he would have convened parliament to discuss the issues of what's going on in the homes. Kamala and Rowley turn it into which government? Bull, rape, molest, and kill more children. That's what you have to choose between when you're talking PNM and UNC. Both of them standing up in the highest court in the land and accusing members of the other side of the most heinous of acts. And we're not realizing that the country is set up to fail. The media that is beholden to them for advertising can't go into the conversation, can't ask the questions. I talk to journalists. Understand me, Philip? You know, I could write, I could investigate, I could put together a 5-part series. It's not getting run. You know. Because if those we have to investigate have connections to those who own the media, come on. But we don't want to talk about those things where we go to parties. When we clinking glasses, we want to pretend that we're all church folk. Meanwhile, the innocents have become violence. Let me see if I'm calling Richard Blaze.
Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Blaze. You are live with us here on the show tonight, talking about the bullying situation in the schools. You have a couple minutes to spare with us?
Yes, Phillip. Good evening. How are you?
Good. So to those listening, Richard Blaze he acts as our national security advisor, and he gives us a lot of guidance. This is what he does for a living. And I want to ask, this is what his experience and his expertise is. And I want to ask Richard, looking at the situation, and I'm not asking you to deal with the socio-economic situation or the social development or even the community and home and family development. What I'm concerned about is from a national security and I guess a school security point of view. Are there things that could be done to protect these children from their own violent tendencies, and if you can't, at least protect the other children, the innocent bystanders?
Yes, of course. In my opinion, there certainly are a lot of things that can be put into place, plans and actions right now. From where I sit, I'm not aware of whether or not there are, in fact, any plans that are put right now to deal with these type of violence that we have been seeing. But certainly there are systems that can be employed. I would share with you that one of the most popular ones and common security plans to deal with violence in school, as we are seeing it now, is what you would call truancy patrols. These would be patrols that are set up by law enforcement primarily to keep an eye and peruse the areas that are more prominently affected, as we're seeing right now, to maintain a presence. Ironically, I live in the West, so I was at one point in time seeing a police presence at one of the schools during the afterwards, at the end of school time, and some police officers were around. I haven't seen it again, so I don't know whether it was just the initiative of the individual officers or whether, as I said, it was a plan. I'm not aware. But that is just one of the things that you can do to deal with what we're seeing, and it would be applicable, in my opinion, here, because we're seeing that quite a bit of the violence taking place outside of the school compound.
I want to ask you a question.
So sure.
Police presence then has an impact, and what, actually 2 questions. What can police do? Can police arrest children?
Well, surely I believe that when from the type of violence that we are seeing right now, police can get involved. It's a public disturbance, and it's assault. that is being committed here. And in some cases, as we have seen, weapons are being used, deadly weapons are being used. So surely the police would have authority over that to get involved and arrest people. But you want to also have systems in place that you can obviously detect it at the earliest possible opportunity. Now, speaking from a security standpoint only, there are systems that can be implemented in the schools. From my experiences, the security systems that are in place right now in school, when you see security officers, their primary role is really access control. Who comes into the school during school hours, they don't, the common thing is, not everybody could just walk into a school, you have to have an appointment and stuff like that. I don't know that there are, certainly in my experience doing security for schools in Trinidad and Tobago, there was never a requirement to have a certain plan to deal with school violence, but there are, as I said, procedures that can be put into place to deal with that. You have, as I said, there's different random streets where same security personnel that you have that you're using right now, you can have a team to come in and just go through everything in the school, all the lockers, all the desks, all the bags. Of course, a lot of us will be familiar with metal detectors and bag searches. Those are systems that are employed in public schools around the world and some private schools as well. So definitely, yeah, there's a role. There are things that can be put into place from inside the school. There's special training for members of staff to know how to detect the signs of pending violence. A very well-known, a very effective measure to be used is to set up an avenue where students can make anonymous reports. If you hear or if you know of something that is going to take place, if you know of tensions or frictions building between two opposing factions or two classes or a group of students, you have an avenue where you can make a random report.
Confidential, so, WhatsApp, text, don't even have to be.
Anonymous report.
And they don't even have to hear you talk. You could WhatsApp it, these children WhatsApp it with their two thumbs at a speed that.
And it's even more effective when it's not done directly to the school, because what the records are showing is that students hesitate because, of course, they can be recognized, their voices can be recognized.
So you could dump it into a system.
Using an outside source.
Right, so you dump it into a communication system that guarantees them blind confidentiality, where law enforcement gets information that, because this would help us. I was going to ask you, I make some notes here to ask you a question. Like, are we doing school violence drills? Are we doing active shooter drills? I mean, Trinidad copies America for everything. They say if America sneezes, Trinidad catch a cold. How long before one of these children, instead of pulling out a knife, pull out a gun?
I am from where I sit, I am only aware of one school in Trinidad that has an active shooter program in place, and they do drills. I've been part and parcel of it already. But to say that it is part of the format right now, no. I don't know that.
I have not seen, and you could tell me, I have not seen a single school that has enough security officers that could both lock down access control and engage in securing the student body. I want to give you some numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We spend $5 billion a year on education. We have 8,000 police officers, 50,000 security officers, 200,000 or less children. So it can't be more than 400 schools if you had 500 children in a school. So why aren't we, what is MTS's role? Why aren't we repurposing MTS to, and excuse me if this is the existing role, but why aren't we repurposing MTS to deal with government buildings and education facilities?
Well, to be honest with you, I can't explain to you why it is not being repurposed. I can tell you that for sure it needs to be repurposed. The school security now needs to be repurposed. Firstly, dealing with the schools that are experiencing this level of violence, and I believe that the long-term plan should be for all schools. There should be that type of training. In my opinion, a major contributing factor to what we're seeing right now is what people have to go through during the onset of the pandemic, particularly during isolation when persons were restricted to home. There are reports now of increased domestic violence during those periods. We're dealing with people clamped up together,
cabin fever,
loss of income, loss of homes being repossessed, vehicles being repossessed. And there was a lot of tensions in homes, and of course, these children were witnessing that. A lot of them were victims of that, of frustrations being vented on them.
So you're saying that the children reflecting the collapse of, the failure, I won't say you would collapse, the failure of the state to properly manage the social fabric during the 2 years of COVID?
Well, I don't know that one could have anticipated, in fairness to them, the state, the government, that one could have anticipated that this would come.
But do you know that there were studies, and I had spoken about that at the start?
Seeing this sort of behavior in schools. And to the best of my recollection from myself, nothing has ever been done to treat with it. So, yes, I believe that the state has some level of accountability to treat, and it's not a difficult thing to do. It really isn't a difficult thing to do, because these programs, they don't have to be a rocket science. The programs that are offered and the training is available. There are several professionals in Trinidad and Tobago that are available to train these persons, both the security personnel and school staff, the teachers and administrative staff. I believe that even in the security, I know for a fact that even within the security companies, there are lots of professionals who are more than qualified to do this type of training. So it can be done. It definitely can be done.
I don't know if you're qualified to speak on this, but $10 billion was spent for the 2 years. We only got the last term in before they opened the school, the last term that we beat up over the online classes. But we spent $10 billion in 2020, 2021, 2022. That's $15 billion. We spent $15 billion on education while the schools were closed. So where did that money go? And why didn't they use it to outfit the schools with camera systems? I know camera systems are cheap now. You could have outfitted all of the schools with camera systems and feed it to National Operations Center. We still have such an animal. The schools should have been given systems, muster points, fire drills, security drills, bag and person check coming in, going out, especially in the hotspot schools and the schools that are known for violence. I mean, all these things that you're referring to, but people need to hear that there are people in Trinidad and Tobago who, if given the mandate, would directly and in quick time put these things in place. Are you saying to me that yes, there are plans, and yes, you know of persons who, if you had the responsibility, could quickly zone the country and make sure the schools under their purview were able to lock down and secure?
Definitely. I think, as I said, the processes are not difficult. They're also they're not costly. The most costly aspect of it will be the implementation of electronic security with CCTV cameras. And what you really want to focus on right now, when you're looking at the financial aspect of it, is really to mitigate the additional recurring monthly expenditure, primarily by having to bring in more security officers into the environment, which right now is not entirely necessary. As I said, there are the existing run-of-the-mill access control programs that are in use in all the schools right now need to be modified to now include active shooter drills, policies and procedures, and the same security personnel who are being assigned right now can be trained in those policies and procedures. Staff members can be done at minimal cost. As I said, it's not going to require any major influx of additional personnel. Maybe in some schools you may need to have, not even on a permanent basis, but as I would have said, I mentioned earlier on, you have systems that use where they come in and do random sweeps. And this is something that a team of security personnel of 5 or 6 can come in and do very comfortably. You simply isolate the student, primarily preferably in their classroom, keep them there, in some cases under lock and key. And while these teams go through these bags and lockers and so forth, the whole thing can be done from between 1 hour to 3 hours, and it's done. It's done randomly. So, and it has proven to be extremely effective in many instances. So, in terms of a budget, it's by no means an exorbitant budget to put these things, these policies in place. It's just, in my opinion, the will.
Political will. Political will.
Right now.
So what else?
There's definitely the professionals available in Trinidad to do it.
Mimicry. Aren't you concerned about mimicry? I mean, yes, and these things going on in the hotspot schools, in the at-risk communities, but you know and I know that the biggest thing about teenage years, when the hormones up in your head, is everybody wants attention. So if children getting attention on videos for fighting, how soon before it spread throughout the education system?
Well, you make a very good point there, and I am not qualified to put a time frame. I will tell you, however, that it is a high possibility before it begins to spread. Mimicry is something that is very, very common in every social structure around the world. Trinidad and Tobago are not foreign to that thought. So, in my opinion, it's a matter of time before that starts happening. All the more reason why the authorities need to be well engrossed in these types of discussions to start enacting these plans. These plans have been enacted already weeks ago, and in fact months ago, because as I would have said before, this is not the first time that this has happened in Trinidad.
You were the Minister of National Security, and you had responsibility for securing the nation within and without. Would the children, that captive audience of 200,000 people, would that be a prime importance to any national security master plan?
From my perspective, definitely. I mean, that started, these are the future, these children, these students, these young adults are the future of Trinidad and Tobago. So, under my portfolio, it would definitely take a high level of priority right now.
Mr. Richard Blaze, any closing comments?
Well, I think, I want to say that from my side, I want to compliment you on the work that you do, and what you try to do, and I hope that you keep up the fight, keep doing what you think is best for Trinidad and Tobago. I think that the topic tonight is we have the ability to correct this. There are persons there who are willing to step up and assist in getting these things done, and I truly hope to see it come to fruition soon, where we get the crime situation under control, especially with the youth, to try to nip it in the bud before it advances into full-blown adults and it's a way of life for them.
Thank you very much for taking our call on short notice.
Thank you for offering me. I'm happy to, I hope that I was able to satisfy any queries appropriately.
Well, we would like to be able to return to calling you for your future comments should the conversation warrant it. Thank you, my brother.
Sure, that is a discussion we can have. Stay safe. Have a blessed night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again.
That was Richard Blaze, our National Security Advisor. And as you could hear, and I wanted to add, and I just didn't want to take on too long because I want to take calls from people being bullied. And if there are any people out there who want to tell their stories, who want to call in, I have a woman who is being threatened on her way home and her way to work. She's being bullied by a construction site and she doesn't know where to go. She goes to the police station. She's made 5 reports. They've all but ignored her all the time. There's another woman who her husband has been murdered. A man is claiming to be the murderer, has taken possession of her house where she lives, where she's supposed to live, and he's subjecting them to violence again. She's made reports to the police are not taking the required action, and I'm starting to see a trend in those situations, and I'm wondering if what is going on in Trinidad and Tobago is a failure from the top down deliberately. If anybody watching this show now is being bullied and would like to tell their story, my number is 682-2110. You could call in. I know it's not an easy thing to do, but you could call in and tell your story. I've been in touch with lawyers who are dealing with certain matters that will soon be before the courts where a lot of these children are concerned. And is creating a situation where the lack of government policy where children are concerned is starting to become glaringly obvious. Now, you're going to tell me don't make this political. So what should I make it? Santa Clausical? Easter Bunnical? Where do you want us to go? Because I have no problem trying to fix it. But I'm not the one in office. And I'm not the one with the $5 billion budget for education and the $9 billion budget for national security. And you have to understand this. The people who are being paid the $100 million a year to do this job need to stop bullshitting about and start actually delivering on the responsibility of government. And you can't be jet-setting on junkets around the world to party with your partners when your country that you are responsible for is falling apart. And save us the bullshit and save us the stunts and save us the drama. I know this thing that's going on with Keith and Camille and Kamala, all of this bullshit with the race name and all that crap, is to try and frame the national narrative that they're relevant and that the people interested in what they have to say. I am so proud of Trinbagonians for leaving it alone, so that Keith, Kamala and Camille are starting to look like three jackasses on their own, and whoever they could bring them into that conversation. Because yeah, you could tell me all the things that you want to say that Camille was provoking Kamala, but seriously, you are government minister and the leader of the opposition, and you can reduce our country to a potential racial abyss because you're provoking one another. Miss me with that. The people of Trinidad and Tobago have to see y'all for what y'all are. Pretenders. Mocking pretenders, failures, ineptitude at every level, incompetence at the worst and the highest. That's what we have to deal with on our political platforms. When in the past couple months we've learned that people at the highest level of this society have been grooming little wards of the state, raping, molesting, and in some cases murdering them. Where people have been calling for justice in the Akil Chambers case, and I've been asking, how come all three pieces of evidence went missing? Where is the DNA sample that you sent for examination? Where is that? Save the DNA. Where are the results? How can everything go missing? Was that an assault on the evidence room? A former minister of finance told this country that a former prime minister told her the names of big businessmen that are involved in a massive narcotics trade that in this country we rumor to be larger than the national economy, $60 billion a year. So tell me, how could it not be that we deal with these issues and we get consumed by Sushila and Camille, and now Kunta Kinte jump in the fray? How stupid do they think we are? How stupid? I want to call somebody who wanted to, and I want to tell Trinidad and Tobago this. Sometime in the next couple of days, I'll be re-raising the issue of the divers, and I'm going to have a show or a couple shows specific to that issue that will expose the machinations taking place by the state to prevent justice. And at some point, we are going to have to start asking questions of everything from the top down. Because our constitution gives us, we the people of Trinidad and Tobago, systems to protect us and operate this country. And to operate the country, we hire certain people, and those people seem to have usurped the authority of the constitution and doing as they damn well please. And that can't continue. So to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I ask you this tonight. Are you happy with any of it? Are you happy with how badly our country is run? Are you satisfied that this is the best that we could do? When I went up to the airport And I did that short video showing them Starbucks in the center of the atrium, and then walking to where the local food is sold and show them the mold in the ceiling and the drips of the rain dripping through the roof. When I showed people that, a lot were aghast. Plenty were surprised. Many didn't know that there was a local food court and it's all empty and abandoned. Now, if I was in charge, outside there is where Subway and McDonald's and Burger King and KFC would be. Cinnabon. Why? Because they have a natural advantage. They have multi-billion-dollar marketing budgets. People have top-of-mind knowledge of their products. They don't need to see it to want it. They've successfully harvested mind share. People are interested in your fast food fare. You made them addicted to your MSG, and they're going to come to look for it anyway. But imagine if you stepped off a plane and you're coming through Piaco and you found places selling Trinidad fare, a roti, doubles, a shark and bake, even meals, pilau, bhaji rice, stew oxtail. I drive up to the airport for lunch. Why is that not what's being sold? You want to sell coffee? Why you didn't give Hong Wing that space so that they could have used all of the successful clues? And I tell people this all the time. The 1% is not your enemy, you know. The 1% is your example. Success leaves clues. Success leaves clues. They have a man who opened a fried chicken and chips place called BFC, Brian's Frickin' Chicken, or Pepper Chicken, or something. And he's now in Woodbrook. He ran for years in a nice little corner of a garage in PT Valley. And now he's moved to his own standalone place on the bottom of O'Connor Street in Woodbrook. And every chance I get, if I am feeling for fried chicken, only him I go in by. Now here, my friend, and I have no allegiance to him, but I have allegiance to the national economy. You see, KFC and Burger King and McDonald's and Cinnabon and all of these companies farting away our foreign exchange to pay royalties to the brand owners, and in many cases to import food from those companies. So it's costing us an arm and a leg, and it's driving up the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago round the back, and you're not seeing that. Somebody asked me, well, what about the employees in KFC? If KFC was to shut down today, that void will be filled by other food restaurants tomorrow. Trinidadians like to eat out. And Brian's Frickin' Chicken and others will fill that space. And those same employees would have opportunities to develop. Where's the entrepreneurial support? You're trying to tell me every freaking chicken fryer in KFC don't know how to open a fried chicken business? Come on. Do you know that right now Peter is exposing that there are companies who manufacture coconut milk that have enslaved monkeys, actual monkeys on chains to pick coconuts that they keep in cages? And Peter is exposing the brands. And the reason I'm telling you that is, this is how stink business and profit and profiteering is. When we try to get the most for the least, we lose sight of what is the purpose of society. And it's just about exploitation and monetizing, and gets to this. So how could you get the most for the least? And then you start using utilitarian thinking, and you start thinking, well, if 7 out of 1 million dead, if we change this and we save $1 million, we can afford that. And that's what goes on. That's what goes on. To the people who think a Starbucks cup is making you look successful, no sense of your own identity. There is nothing Starbucks selling that could taste better. You all ever had, when you were small, that hot cocoa that required 2 cups to make it, and cool it before you drink it? Have you ever had Milo in a blender? And I'm just saying this, not to fight Starbucks, you know. I'm telling you all again, the 1% is not your enemy. They are your example. The man who was responsible for KFC becoming one of the biggest brands in the world is not Colonel Sanders. Colonel Sanders was a man who had a chicken recipe. And he used to sell fried chicken to stores who would then sell fried chicken to their customers. So like how Massey does sell food and Starlight Drugs does sell food. They're not making the food, they're buying that food. Victoria Foods grab and go. We would have bought fried chicken from Colonel Sanders. So what Colonel Sanders was doing was bringing the chicken and they would sell it as their chicken. When the people who bought KFC, who bought Kentucky Fried Chicken from Colonel Sanders bought it, it was still new. It was still a recipe, and he was supplying a couple, maybe 100 businesses. And they found out that there was one gentleman who had about 20 stores, and he had his brand of chicken. It is this gentleman that created the brand Kentucky Fried Chicken. That wasn't Colonel Sanders' brand. Colonel Sanders was just selling chicken. This man who was buying chicken from Colonel Sanders created a brand he called Kentucky Fried Chicken. And he had about 20 stores. And the people who bought Colonel Sanders' operation went to talk to him and ask him, how is he so successful? He said, well, I've branded my stores. I've made them all red and white, and I give them all a certain amount of identity, and people getting accustomed to recognition. And they bought his stores from him and named the whole company Kentucky Fried Chicken and made him the marketing manager. And going along the way, this gentleman made Kentucky Fried Chicken the largest fast food restaurant in the world. It was bigger than McDonald's. McDonald's was number 2. Kentucky Fried Chicken was number 1 because this guy, he understood how to sell food. I'm telling you this, I'm telling you all this for a reason. When his bosses didn't give him what they had promised to give him, and as bright as he was in the food business, they were taking advantage of him. And when he found out, they took advantage of him because he realized they weren't giving him his dues. He started to involve himself in another business. He's still working for them, but he started to involve himself in supplying restaurants with equipment for restaurants. And he started to become a big player. And the bosses found out, they told him that he is a conflict of interest. He can't work for them and have that. So they made him offer to buy it from him. And they buy him out. And then he found out that they gave him $1 million less than he was entitled to. And it was about 40 years ago, and it's a lot of money. And he asked them for his $1 million, and they told him, well, no, a deal is a deal. He said, well, if a deal is a deal, I quit. And he quit. And the day he quit, Kentucky Fried Chicken continued on with a trajectory, and it was still opening stores, but it never got to the level it should have gotten with him as the marketing manager. And McDonald's overtook them, and other brands came and ate up market share. But when he left, he went and he opened a hamburger place he called Wendy's. His name was Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas was responsible for 2 of the largest fast food brands in the world. When he left Kentucky Fried Chicken, all he had was what he had, and he came up with a new business. He came up with his way of selling burgers and his brand and how he markets Wendy's, and I think he named it after his daughter. But this is the point I'm trying to make. You don't have to work for KFC and McDonald's. You and your family and your friends could put together and build. When I hear people talk about the black community in Trinidad and Tobago, I have said repeatedly, if there are 500,000, let's say they say 450,000, but let's say 500,000 for easy maths, right? If there are 500,000 people of African descent in this country, they have the spending power of being able to make and destroy destroy businesses by their spending power and by where they work. I'm telling you this so that you understand. The African community in Trinidad and Tobago, their combined spend, what they earn as PH taxi drivers and hustlers and laborers and carpenters and masons, are talking about the mass. I'm talking about the few that get up in a supervisor and a management job. I'm talking about the mass. They make and spend enough money every year to buy Sabga business every year. Afro-Trinbagonians make and spend enough money every year to buy Clico every year. That's the kind, you're talking about 500,000 people. Then you have 500,000 people of East Indian descent. If somebody did a survey and quantified how much doubles sold in this country, we sell more doubles in this country in a week than we sell all other fast foods combined in a year. And that's just doubles. And doubles is the proof of concept. We got doubles selling for $6 now. People still buying it. Doubles is the proof of concept and makes the point I'm trying to make. That you don't have to work for people. And you could take your suffering, especially if you're young. When I see young people working as waitresses and working behind the counter in these fast food places or security guards, I've asked them, and I'm not knocking any of these industries, but I'm saying to you, if you are doing this while you're in school and you're furthering your education, or you're making up our money so you could start a business, or you're doing this because you have no chick and you have no child, so you're doing your business in the day and you're delivering KFC and Domino's in the night, fine. But if this is how you live it, with no plan, and if you're just showing up for work and taking this barely minimum wage job and using that money to live, and as long as you make it through to Friday, so you can take a party, drink a rum, lime, wine, and a bubsy, you will go nowhere in life. There is nothing for you. So when people tell you that people who have money work, a lot of them do. When you watch me and you tell me, nah, the 1% didn't work hard, plenty of them in corruption. Who are they in corruption with? The white people in the PLM? The white prime ministers we've had? The Syrian prime ministers we've had? Who are they in corruption with? Who are they corrupting with? Ask yourself. Not the people you voted into office. So you can't curse the fruit of the tree you plant. And when you say that they're into all kind of illegal drugs and things, who unpacking it? Who packing it? Who shipping it? Who moving it? Damn. You can't be saying those things, especially if you can't substantiate it. I want to tell you something. The criminal industry in this country, the gang system, the violence, the drugs, all of that requires labor and manpower. And if people, poor people, removed themselves from the equation, it'll collapse. Complete. Police not running down white-collar people. Police running down the people who moving the drugs and packing the drugs and selling the drugs. If you think that there are white-collar people involved, pull yourself out of it and let it collapse. That's on you. You can't be blaming people and then supporting the same thing you're blaming. That's bipolar. What you have to do, and trust me on this, trust me, because the effort that I'm making to fight is because I've seen the top and I've seen the bottom and I've seen that climb twice. And I know I have advantages because I'm brilliant and I'm sexy and I have a nice caramel latte complexion. I take that as advantages. But my number is 682-2110. Don't call me for money to finance your business. I don't have that to give you. But call me and tell me that you have an idea and you have a plan, and if you could get this and you could get that, you could make it, I'll help you. If it is within my power to link you up with people and I can help you, I'll help you. And you won't believe how a twist in your thinking, a shift in your planning, and what you're trying to do could succeed. But what a lot of us are is lazy and self-destructive. And we work to have a good time. And that's all right. But one day you'll be 40. And one day, my father used to say it, you blink and you're 40. He used to tell it to me just so. So you can have fun, but prepare. Because you blink and you're 40. And I remember that when I turned 40. And what he was trying to say is, make sure that you're not just having a good time. Make sure that you're planning for your future. It is no accident that many of the people who were popular in school end up working for the nerds in school, because the nerds had no life. So they had no choice but to study, to get good at something. And then they come out of school and come out of university because you use your 20s to make all those Instagram likes and shares, and they use their 20s to make degrees. So it's time to hire people who are capable. It's not you. You can't go to a job interview and say, look, all my friends on Instagram, I have 40,000 followers. No, I mean, influencers do make money. But even that, like cryptocurrency, will come to its highest point at some point. I'm going to tell you this. We don't have to fight the power. We are the power. 1.4 million of us are the power. But we have to stop being chained up by advertising and believe that once we're outside there drunk and whining, we're happy. I want to tell you what will make you happy and content when you achieve your goal. When you achieve, and it don't have to be a massive goal. Break your goals down. They say the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Break your goals down into one bite at a time. And every time you achieve it, every time you get $100 and you want to break that $100, find a way to hide $90. You only have $10. Live on that. Because if you only had $10, you would live on that. And if you spend the $100 and tomorrow you have no money, you're looking for somebody to lend you a $10. Lost $90. Forget where you put it. Go back 20 years from now and say, I have a 50,000 save, 100,000 save. What's the next step? If you want to invest in your future, learn to read. If you can't read, learn to read. It is really simple. It is really simple. And again, I wanted to help people set up schools to help people learn to read who can't read. If you could read books like The Richest Man in Babylon. It's a small book, so. Read books like As a Man Thinketh. Small book, so. Continuously educate yourself. Be fashionable if you need to be fashionable. And let 50% of your identity be your development. Let 50% of your identity be, and quiet. Quiet. Don't tell nobody. Don't let your left hand tell your right hand what you doing. Don't let your mother know. Don't let your father know. Don't let your husband know. Don't let your wife. I'm telling all of this. We went through some suffering in my time, and I will tell this, and my parents can cuss me. The other day we was making a joke and we talking about what we want our parents to leave us. I say, wherever mommy have them baby powder bottles hide now, I want them, leave the baby powder bottles in me. Because my father went through a very difficult time. And my mother had saved change from the grocery chain. These Johnson baby powder bottles, she had filled them up till they were packed, and she had them stored, and these were just her savings. She saved money in the chair of her dressing table. She had money that she could have helped my father start over a business. And that taught me a serious lesson. Nobody knew. Nobody knew she was saving that kind of money. And she could have used it to flam. She could have used it because everybody around her was wearing brands. And I'm sure she wanted brands too. But my mother knew. My mother knew that good times, bad times come too. And you could enjoy the good times, but prepare for rain. That's why you own an umbrella. So I'm saying to everybody in Trinidad and Tobago, stop talking. Stop bad talking. For all the money Anthony Sabga had, he still had to get and leave. And I'm using him as an example because he's probably the richest man Trinidad ever had. And he still had to dare and go. I will. You will. Between now and then, let's get some success. Let's get some peace. You know when you'll be really, really happy? When you have everything taken care of for you and yours. Even what, and you could deal with the vicissitudes of life, the unplanned trips and the unplanned falls, and you could manage and you could survive them. At some point, you will sit down and you will say, of all the tests of my manhood, showing up was the most important one. And for all of the important events, I was present as a man. Don't let nobody fool you. They could never take that away from you. And I don't care what age you are. John Houseman became an actor in Paper Chase when he was he was retired. The same fella Colonel Sanders we talk about, when he retired, he couldn't live on his pension. That's why he started selling chicken. Wherever you are. So you don't have to be 20, you don't have to be 30 or 40 or 50. When the Berlin Wall came down, people walked straight through from East Germany to West Germany with nothing but the clothes on their back. Grey hair. They didn't care. I'll find a way. I have a partner named Tony. He's working Massey Maraval. He used to work Massey Westmore. I think Massey Maraval sent to get him when they wanted to improve their sales. Tony is a bag boy for all of his life. And he knows more about Massey than any manager in Massey. And he knows more of Massey's customers than any advertising agency. Every single person, big, small, large, tall, walk through those doors that see Tony, know Tony by name. And Tony is a bag boy because they ask him to be a manager often. And Tony wants to be a bag boy because managers don't make as much money as him. And he just has people skills and he's content. I know at some point I go hear Tony open your own supermarket. And those are the success stories I like. Wherever you are in life, maximize your potential. Find ways to improve and increase. Don't take wild and daring chances if you have responsibilities. Make sure that you cover the bases. If people who live in a house that cost them $3,000 a month get a raise in pay and tell the wife, back, we're looking for a new house. No, you're looking for a house to buy. You still live. The man who owns Berkshire Hathaway, the largest investment company in the world, Warren Buffett, who had personal money that could have aided America during the 2008 bubble bust when Freddie Mae and Freddie Mac went underwater. That man still drives the same piece of shit car that he's been driving for 10 years. He lives in the same house and he's catching his ass. Because you don't have to flam. Flamming is to impress people who don't like you, who still wouldn't like you. They might say, hey, look at Jackass with a nice car. But you're still a jackass to them. All of that money, all of it. My partner who owned Luce, Stephen Hadid, driving the same car for the past 20 years. My sister, she's run a massive finance house. She's driving the same car 10 years. The people who understand money, tell you, you see brands and jewelry, things like that. Don't buy gold chain, buy gold. Don't buy silver rings, buy silver. There's a difference. Don't let people gauge your worth by what you could hang around your neck. As what young, black, impressionable fellas, and I know you're doing it to get a little sex and thing, fine, no problem at all. But at some point, somebody should be talking to you and telling you that this is not the way out of your poverty. That you might be impressing people who think like you and act like you, but at the end of the day, both of you all going nowhere. All the money that you're spending on all of those things, tell people, you know, I used to tell people for a lot of the time, when people ask me, how you going? I used to say, catching my ass and trying to keep smiling. Because it's important. It's important to own that struggle. Own it. I used to drive a Nissan Patrol that I borrowed from a friend when I started over in life. It had no air condition and it had no windows. And a lot of my customers were in south and I live in the north. And I used to have to drive south. And if sun shining, I sweating. And if rain falling, I wetting. And I had to take that for years. But I tell you something. The greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life was losing everything. When I lost everything, I understood life. It was a quick crash course, literally, in how life works, how people see you, who your true friends are. The best bridge I ever crossed was that time, and it was scary. It was frightening. I was unemployable. I lost everything. I slept on couches, slept in cars, slept on other people's floors, and had to literally restart. But I want to tell you something. Every step up that ladder was my step. I remember when I rented a little, I moved from literally sleeping in cars to renting a little downstairs apartment in somebody's house in St. Anne's. And their dog used to come and sleep on the step that I was renting. Inside the place was one room. The carpet was a bright orange that even in the dark used to shine. The curtains and the upholstery was the exact same material. The walls and the chair and the bed, everything was painted in the same sky blue. And it was so beautiful to me because it was now mine and I had literally started over. And I used to have to cross over this dog and dog puke on that steps. But I used to enjoy putting my key in that lock and opening it. The kitchen had no wall. It was just wrought iron straight out into the open air. And it was beautiful and it was peaceful. I used to wake up in the morning and make my cup of coffee, and that was my start over. And every step, and I could remember every step, and I could remember every improvement and why the decision was made. And my son Joshua was old enough as a child to be involved in the conversation with me, and we would make decisions together. We'd make decisions. I used to shop in one furniture store that would let me buy furniture from them on a check, knowing they knew that I'm going out to work, to make the money, to cover that check. They got to the point where they were asking me, yo, tell us when to deposit this one. Because they knew, but they knew my word was my bond. And I was not going to fail. A man coming from nothing, trying to go somewhere, when he gave you his word, bank it. I had to die to fail. And there comes a point when you realize that it's not about building a bigger house. It's about building a bigger table. I had decided when I thought I had enough, and I have enough, I decided to give all of that working energy that I have to helping as many other people as I could. And I know for all of my activist life, for all of it, I could never be paid for it in money. But the peace of mind and the contentment I get, you could have 5,000 camera and 4,000 electric gates, and you feel like that BMW or that Mercedes-Benz or that Porsche Cayenne that you're driving make you something. I want to tell you something. At some point, cockroach and earthworm will eat you, and at some point, cockroach and earthworm will eat me. And when both of us pass on, there will be an evaluation, even in silence, as to what we were worth to the world. And when your answer is that all you were conspicuous consumption and glaring, look at me, a child with no rein on their ego, and you just work and gather and consume till you're dead, you are no more value than a shit stain on life. People, and the people that I have respected, the people who I call friend, the people who I will remember all of my life, names like Lincoln Myers and Clive Pantin, Raoul Pantin, I don't think they're related, but people who gave themselves to service, those people. I'm saying all of this tonight because we're dealing with the issue of bullying in schools, and I'm realizing that nobody is teaching anybody that the things we chasing, we will right things, the things we need will come to us. I heard the most depressing story I heard today. Somebody who did me what I believe to be an egregious wrong, lost a member of their family within 24 hours to an illness, and I thought to myself, that's saying, what does it gain a man to have the whole world and lose his soul. I learned in this life, they have nothing I could do in revenge to anybody who do me wrong that could really ever get me back the peace of mind that I want. So just let it go. Life have the exact formula for all of us to make us happy or to make us hold our head and bawl. And you have to decide, what do you want your value to this world to be? I'm telling all of the men, especially tonight, all of the men tonight, you have a role. You weren't born for nothing. You have a role. You have a role, and you could be father, you could be neighbor, you could be community leader, you could get involved, you could be the person people turn to when they're in a jam. I never thought in my life, I used to build nightclubs. I never thought that I'd have a life where people would be turning to me with every problem that they have, and I'm happy to get involved and fix it. I'm surrounded by some of the truest human beings I could ever want to know. People who are working for free for years, helping other people, who some would lash out at them out of political spite, cut off their nose to spite their own face, not knowing that these people are struggling along with you, for you. Today, Anthony Sinaran and his team in Canada sent 2 barrels of stuff to grab and go. And while we were unpacking it, some of the things got damaged in the transit. So immediately, the damaged things are being fought over by Felicia Holder, who wants to put it on the red tag shelf for the Citizens Union members because they get a massive discount. And PH, who is in a charity with my mother, who wants to put together hampers. Satish, who was on the phone, heard them talk hampers and say, yeah, hey, I need a hamper for somebody. And those people that I sit around that look at the world from a perspective of there is more, we already have people we could help with that. I love the field of fine leather in a German automobile, fine-tuned automobile. But I'll tell you something, it could never match the satisfaction of knowing that you are living a life well lived. And it could be that they have no God, it could be that God is a cockroach, I don't know. But I believe that that's saying that at the end of the life, somebody should say thank you and welcome home my good and faithful son. And if all that I get at the end of my life is to close my eyes and know that I left an example to my 2 children, that's enough. You have to ask yourself, what are you living for? And it might shock you. Don't do like me and wait to lose everything to learn. I tell you, the things that matter is not what people clap for. The things that matter are the important things. Your family, you owe your parents, you owe your children. That is your responsibility in life. Do not miss the opportunity. You'll regret it. You have a responsibility to your parents, and you have a responsibility to your children. When you get old, your children will have a responsibility to you and to theirs. That's the unwritten social contract. You also have a responsibility to try and make the world a better place for your children. So what you hand to them is better than what you received. You have a responsibility to be a good friend, a good neighbor, a good citizen. These things, we get back to being that. If we get back to being those people, because all of us could fight to be rich, and then what? What's the next step? Jim Carrey said, how I wish everybody could achieve all of the financial wealth that they think will make them happy, so that they could see that it doesn't. Now somebody said, it's easier to cry in a BMW than a B13. I wouldn't fight you on that. But I want to say to you, make your decisions not on who you're trying to impress. Make your decisions on what you could do to make the whole place better for you and yours. Our collective experience is what we all live, is what we all enjoy. We all enjoy a collective experience. We call it home, we call it family, we call it community, we call it neighborhood, we call it society, we call it country. All of those things are collections of us together. None of it is us alone. If us together means we all have a better life, then shouldn't that be what we pursue? I thank all of you for joining me tonight. I know we get the biggest numbers when it's rants, but not everything can be a fight. So I want to remind you all, we have a cruise that I'll be DJing, and that cruise, Felicia told me to remind you all, is on Saturday 25th June 2022. I have tickets to sell. I have 100 tickets to sell, and I would like to sell all of my 100 tickets. My number is 682-2110. I'm asking for your support. All of this money goes towards running all the things we do, including paying legal fees for all the fights we have to fight, for the pleasure of serving you. So if you could, please message me. My number is 682-2110 and buy all my tickets from me. I'd appreciate that greatly. All the messages, I'd like to sell out all of these tickets tonight so I could tell them I did my share, because they buffet me when we're going to start to sell tickets. So we're going to start to sell tickets now. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is the best and fastest growing activist organization in Trinidad and Tobago. And there's a Thursday night show now just to show Citizens Union success stories, and I want to give you a little success story. I'm dealing with an electrician who needed to get bulbs, and I sent him to Trinity Lighting on Western Main Road, who's a business affiliate, and he said, oh yes, I know about them. I said, well, call my name and they'll give you a discount, and they were happy to give him the discount. New business, everybody happy. But the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is so much more. From the pitch lake, it is real and right. We there. If we could join the Citizens Union, visit citizensuniontt.org, citizensuniontt.com/join, or you could call 486-2888 and join. If you'd like to make a donation to everything that you see that we do, if you love hearing my voice and appreciating the sacrifice, all of it is for a better Trinidad and Tobago. And we need your help. We need your physical help if you want to join the organization and help us build the communities and build the constituencies and bloom where you're planted. Reach out to Satish Ramsaran at 796-8172. Call him, WhatsApp him, say, Satish, I would like to be a part of the team in my community, my constituency, to help build it. 796-8172. Felicia Holder, who handles all of our finance and has done a remarkable job for all the time she's been chairman of everything we've done. Number 769-4590. And if you could reach out to Felicia Holder and give her $10,000, $20,000, $100,000, we need that help. We need swagger. We need the ability to fight and win. Now you can help us do that, because at the end of the day, when we win, you win. If you want to make a donation, you could call Sahai Silva 374-8747. Please, I'm asking 10 people tonight to send a WhatsApp to Sahai's phone at 374-8747. 374-8747. Just 10 of y'all. Send a WhatsApp saying to Sahai, I'll give you $10 because Philip asked for it. You can give more. But I wanted to see that if I call her name, you'll use the phone. Yeah? Ram Logan's Hardware. Somebody messaged me and say, I sent you a message about Ram Logan Hardware, and it's like, because telling you they put galvanized in the road and people get their foot joke, but it's like they bribe you to and pay off. I say, who? First of all, I didn't see where you sent me. And secondly, it's big money to bribe me. And I put that whole conversation on Facebook for people to see. The owner of Ram Logan Hardware messaged me, he said, Mr. Alexander, I see a post and I want to tell you something. The galvanized is around a concrete slab that we've been casting and a new pavement that we're building, and were it not for the rain, that fence would have been done already. So I'm happy to report to the person who think that I took a bribe from Ram Logan that no, I didn't get no money from Ram Logan, but I'd like you to be a little more peaceful in your community and know that if in a week Ram Logan still have the fence up, you can message me back and then I'll tell him, brother, you're light, man. But I don't think so. I think they're going to do a good job. And to the people at Ram Logan's Hardware for calling me and I resolving this issue, please feel free to call Felicia Holder at 769-4590 and make a donation to the cause. You could see that we're fighting the good fight, and this is something that you could believe in. Yeah? And that's it. My assistant line is 719-2888. If you want to reach me, talk to me, get a meeting with me, whatever, you could WhatsApp 719-2888. My personal WhatsApp is 682-2110. That's my personal number. People call the number and I have to tell them, you still have to WhatsApp it to me. They say, but why? Just listen to me now. I get 100 calls a day, I get 200 WhatsApps a day. If you tell it to me, the next 5 calls I get, I forget what you tell me. If you WhatsApp it to me, as I get it as a WhatsApp, it goes to Ian Griffith, who handles the response team for the Citizens Union, or it goes to Satish, or it goes to Felicia, or it goes to Sean, or it goes to any of the team members in any division and part of the organization to make sure that it is actioned immediately. If you call me and you're old talking with me, what is going to happen when you hang up? I'll call somebody and relay your message. It doesn't work so. So please, my number is 682-2110. Use that number to message me if you need help. Sure, I'll help you. But please, use that number also to message me and say, Philip, I want to buy 10 of your tickets tonight. Look, $3,000. Or I want to buy 20 and give it to people. Or I want to make a $5,000 donation. Just call me with good news and message me with good news. Because I could use some good news right now. Yeah? Thank all of you for watching. Give me a song for closing. I like any WhatsApps that are coming in. I really want the help there.
Every day I sit and wonder how this sweet island gets so bitter. Low salary, but cost of living gets higher. We inhumane behavior, things don't turn upside down. Smiling faces becomes a frown. Guns the law, we now live in fear. People no longer seems to care. My heart is filled with pain. Another day, I see a man begging for mercy. They rob him and they shoot up his body. I can't take no more. I pray for me safe. Sweetie auntie, round of the milk and honey. Sweet family, the way that you used to be. Like long ago. What was mine was yours too. Bring it back, peace and harmony. My red, white and black country. Oh, 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 oh. Ah, yeah. Bring it back, I say. Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. All I see is darkness all over. Struggles have running for cover. Shedding tears has become so natural. Humans behaving more like animals. No respect for values anymore. Even the lawmakers breaking the law. Who can we trust? Tell me who to save. Is they undertakers? Dig new bread. Wailing and boiling is the new band launches. New sizes of boxes we measuring. Nearly all household you're here in the morning. Live for a movie, it should be good now showing. Sweetie auntie, land of the milk and honey. Sweet family, the way that it used to be. What was mine was yours too. Peace and harmony, my red, white and black country. Oh, 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 oh. I pleaded with you. I pleaded with you, Lord. Bring back the nation. Oh, oh. Like his blood and crime take over. The rich are not feeling the pressure. People die like flies, yet we fight. What would it take for us to unite? Look how we children them going astray. And the poor hold on to faith instead. So we have a message and playing dumb. Many go pay in time to come. So all the innocent lives they taking. The minds and the soul they corrupting. Everything has a price to pay. On a great, great judgment day. Sweetie auntie, land of
I want to apologize to Brendan Butts, who was standing by. He's our education advisor, and he will be on tomorrow night. So tomorrow after the cut show, I will be doing a continuation of the show on the bullying and on the issues to do with the children and education in the country. And we will be joined by Brendan Butts, who will have some extra time to give you some information so that you'll understand how the education system should actually function in the best interest of all of our children. But that's a conversation for tomorrow. Thank all of you for joining me. Thank you for sticking around. I'm assuming the 346 people who still here waiting to get to call me and tell me they're buying 2 tickets, because I appreciate that greatly. Please buy all these tickets for me. Thank you. I'll see you all on the cruise. They put a picture of me DJing. You see that? Look how funky. So yeah, I will be doing a little DJ session. You'll come and party with people like Stefan Reese and other celebrities. Yeah? So, until tomorrow.